Okay, that's pretty good. Santa Catalina. And you just came back, right?
Just got back from Catalina, yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun to go over there and go to all the bars. It's great.
Home away from home.
So I'm now, I probably should say that, you know, I have been a fan of Billy Folsom's, I almost said wholesome, that wouldn't really fit. Billy Folsom for the past, at least the past 2 years of following him on Facebook, and I've been dying to meet him, and now I met him twice. So I'd like to introduce Billy Folsom, who has been a resident of Costa Mesa for a long time, and actually was in Newport for a long time too. So just tell us briefly about that, maybe.
Yeah, I grew up in this area, moving to Newport in the mid-50s and starting school in Costa Mesa in the late 50s and living in this general area since that time. Little time away here and there, but always come back here. It's paradise.
It is paradise, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So tell us about what your job was in Costa Mesa.
I was a mechanic in Costa Mesa for 31 years. Was involved with the employee association there for most of that time, both as president and as a board member.
How did that work? I mean, during that time that you were the president, how did that actually work in Costa Mesa?
We really had a great city manager, great staff, and we always had a very cooperative relationship for almost all the time I was there, up until the last few years.
So when you were negotiating for raises and, you know, pensions, I guess, did you negotiate for pensions? Okay. So how did that usually go? I mean, was that a fairly...
It went really well for a long time. We just put every card out on the table, you know, no trying to leverage anything. And the city had their needs. The city needed to attract qualified people. They're in competition with both the private sector and other cities. And of course we wanted to do what was best for our employees. So we put that all out on the table, and
it worked.
It worked. It worked very well for a long time.
When did it stop working?
It stopped working not because we went into a recession, although that contributed to it, but because of that recession, a lot of people tried to take advantage of a political agenda, the Scott Walker agenda and things like that, to kind of break up the employee associations and drive down wages and stuff. And we got a city council elected that was of that ideology, and they did not want to negotiate. And
so have they refused to negotiate?
I don't know how it's going right now because I retired in the middle of this last, well, actually before they started this last negotiation. But from what I hear, no, they're not really willing to negotiate. In fact, they hired an outside negotiator to try and...
I just am curious, what makes them think that they're going to be reelected as a result of their behavior toward, you know, the employees of the district? I mean, you had one guy commit suicide.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. He was, in fact, my goatee is a tribute to we. We had a discussion about that before he passed away. But
you had a discussion with him?
Yes, I did.
He was, and that was the contributing factor to his committing suicide.
I believe it was. I can't blame that on any one person or any one thing, but I know he was very upset about what was happening in Costa Mesa. He was the classic overachiever. And he was really upset about coming to work and being called names like leech and whatever, and he just didn't understand that.
Yeah.
He worked well above his grade level at the city, and he was just very upset about that.
I bet everybody was upset. I know everybody was.
Everybody was upset, and it wasn't just the 5 or 6 pink slips we got. It affected our families and everything because everybody was up in the air.
Yeah.
No one knew what was happening.
And what about the police department? What kind of shape is that in?
I have a lot of friends on the police department, and they're probably getting the brunt of it now because they're so understaffed, and they have to have a certain amount of people on the street. So they're working 60, 70 hours a week. It's just not a good situation. It's very stressful for them. They're more prone to injury, more prone to stress-related things. I mean, their families are suffering because Dad can't make the soccer game or whatever. Right. It's bad.
Is the fire department in the kind of the same shape, or is that a little bit better?
No, I think fire department, after they had their initial confrontation, and then they looked at contracting that out to the county and found out the county would actually be more expensive, that they decided to reorganize. We don't have as much staff there as before, but they gained some efficiencies. The service isn't exactly what it was, but you know, if the people are willing to do with less service and pay less, then that's fine. But like Newport Beach, people want a certain level of service, and it's going to have to be staffed to that level.
Yeah.
You can just tell them all to go home and give everybody a garden hose and say put out the fire yourself if that's what they're willing to do. But people expect a certain amount of service.
So, well, it's good that at least they're keeping the fire department whole, kind of, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, but the police department, but the thing that gets me is well, I guess they're hiring because so many of the policemen
Yes,
have
a
left.
lot of people have left
And
because of the political climate.
Right.
They're, and this, like I say, the stress of working 60, 70 hours a week and then being told you make too much money.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
terrible.
And being diminished too by,
Yes.
people. I mean, it's hard to keep it going when somebody's talking
It
trash
really
about
is.
you all the time.
It really is. That's part of the reason I left, is because I just got tired of people following me around, posting on social media about lies about me as an employee because I dared to speak out against certain policies
Right.
of the council and stuff. So.
You did have a friend on the with somebody that you got along with that's on the council that's now on the other side of everything.
Yes. I had what I thought was a pretty good friend in Gary Monahan. I negotiated contracts with him on several occasions. I always asked for his advice because I needed to know what the council wanted. Because we don't negotiate with the council, we negotiated with city staff. I really wanted to know what the council wanted. And I took his advice to heart. And even in the last contract that was negotiated with him, Gary voted on the affirmative, and I took all his advice and incorporated it into our contract. And then after the election of Mr. Mensinger, Mensinger was appointed, and Mr. Righeimer, it all turned around.
Yeah, that's so. Okay, so now Katrina's running again, and if she's elected, which I suspect she will be elected, or am I?
I would imagine she would. She's a very, very qualified person and really involved in the community. She's been on the council before, now on the school board, and I couldn't. It'd be hard to come up with a better person for the situation.
So it's going to be, if she's elected, and I know that you probably hope that she has it, it'll be Katrina or you are for Katrina, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, you're endorsing it right here, right now.
Okay. If this is official, yeah.
Yeah, they're endorsing it. It's official. And so it's going to be Katrina and Sandy Janis. And then it'll be like the whole Wendy Lease thing.
It could be. We're going to have to see who steps up and runs for that other position on the council. If it's the same majority we have now, nothing's going to change. In fact, it'll probably get worse because they'll be more aggressive. They'll think they have carte blanche.
Right.
They pretty much think they have carte blanche now.
I know. It's the way they treat people.
That's why we ended up with millions and millions of dollars being paid to lawyers unnecessarily. Never had that before in the city.
Right.
Everybody played by the rules. And, we didn't always get along, but we always knew what the rules were. We knew what the budget was going to be. We didn't lie about it. The numbers are what they are, and we always,
There's a
kept
lot
it
of
within those limits.
misspent money. A lot of
There
misspent
is.
money. And I mean, you look at Costa Mesa and you see their tax base, your tax base in Costa Mesa, right? And you wonder what's the deal about the money. So
Costa Mesa is pretty sound financially, and they always have been. We all went through the recession with the rest of the country together. The association did an audit. We knew how much money the city had. We knew how much was going to probably come in by projections. And we voiced those thoughts when we got those results, and we were right. And turns out we think they were lying. Maybe they really thought that we were in dire straits.
There's a lot of building that's going on with regard to that. There's a lot of building that's going on
Yes.
around town, and some of it is probably not good, right?
Yeah, we've seen some projects in the past that haven't panned out, and almost all of them have been put up with huge variances granted to the developers now, or then, and we're seeing that again now. And the density's going up, the traffic's going to go up, and you know, when you look at the campaign contributions for these people that are in the majority now, they're all developers, so they're getting a pretty easy go of it in Costa Mesa right now.
Wouldn't it be great if everybody, if most of the people in Costa Mesa really knew that and understood what was going on?
Yeah, and it's hard to know that unless you're involved, but what's happening now is these things are going up in people's backyards, and they're finding their sun's blocked and their views are blocked, and they're getting more aware. But people need to know that it could be your neighborhood next.
Before we go, and we're going to have to soon, I'd like you to tell, because since you've been retired, I know you're involved in helping vets. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about
Yeah, you know, it's just one of the causes I'm involved in, and we have some personal friends that we've made over the years that are veterans that are just having such a tough go of it. But once you fight a war, you fight it till the last person dies of old age that's been affected by the war. And like to see more people just take a little time and get involved, or donate to your charity. Do some research, find out where the money's going. And
There's a guy that you visit down in San Diego all the time.
yes, our friend Andy.
Andy.
And we've been taking care of him for a number of years now, and it would be a great story to tell if some, you know, it's just one of millions though that are out there from World War II on up that we've met in the VA hospital and that are in the system and just not getting the treatment they really should.
So you and your gorgeous wife Kim go down in your hog and
Yes.
yeah.
Down there just the other day.
Why don't you don't go to? Well, I'll ask you that later. But anyway, Billy, I'm afraid that we're going to say goodbye.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.